Dr. Cindy, a chiropractic internist and nutritionist, and your host of the Positively Altered podcast. Have you ever been on a trip to Mexico and thought, wow, the beach is absolutely stunning and the drinks are delish? Well, what happens when you go down there and it takes a turn for the worse and you're arrested? You don't speak the language. You don't have an attorney. And there's no place to go to the bathroom that's quite like home. Well, our guest today is going to share a story with you about how he was in a Mexican prison and how he found the joy and the gifts that soon followed. So get comfy, get yourself a warm cup of tea. You don't want to miss my next guest, who has been here before with a different perspective. We will be right back after a word from a couple really important sponsors.
Hello, my name is Heather Lord, and I am the COO of Professional Health Products. Cutting corners is an all too common practice in the dietary supplement industry. When my father founded Professional Health Products, he sourced the cleanest, most biologically active ingredients from around the globe. Today, that commitment remains, which is why the finest healthcare practitioners, like Dr. Cindy, have trusted us for more than 40 years. We oversee the entire process in our manufacturing facility, from sourcing and formulation to manufacturing and labeling. Today, we offer over 300 unique products that can be tailored to the nutritional and homeopathic needs of each individual. Most recently, we launched a proprietary genetic test, allowing our practitioners to get even more dialed in to their patients' health. To learn more about Professional Health Products, please talk to your practitioner or visit our website at phpltd.com.
Today, your life is going to be altered. I'm Dr. Cindy.
Welcome to Infinity. We have worked hard to create an electronic claims website that is simple and user-friendly. This is the public side. You can log into your personal web portal here. This is your dashboard. You can personalize it to your liking here. Our main focus has been to allow you to submit and edit claims as easy as possible. You will find our claims editor and claims processing is simple to use and straightforward. Our quick action bar is where you can find your most important information. Most of these icons will take you directly to the claims the number represents. You can easily view if you have any messages in your inbox of any unread alerts by looking for these blue numbers. To view the rest of our training videos to get the most of your Infinity experience, click this icon. We hope you find this web portal simple and easy to use. Thanks for letting us serve you.
I'm Dr. Cindy. Who wouldn't want to join me for the Positively Altered podcast? Welcome back to the Dr. Cindy podcast with my guest today, second time attendee, Dr. Chris Zaino.
Hey, good to see you guys always.
Oh my gosh, it's so great to have you back. We had so much fun on the first podcast. I can't wait to see where we go today.
Oh, it'll be good. It's always good.
All right, so let's, because I think we left everybody with a little bit of a cliffhanger saying they had to tune in. Let's just go. I know I've been down to Mexico a couple times, not necessarily the great neighborhoods. I think I was almost arrested once, and I can only say almost, but you've actually been in a Mexican prison, right?
Yeah.
How do you get yourself into a Mexican prison?
For 21 long days. So, coming from a successful practice, there's two things that happen to a person in practice. They either become bored or burnt out, right? So I'm more of a guy who gets bored, right? So I had, in the States, we actually did a regen section to the office, and I loved it, talking about stem cells and everything like that. And a colleague of mine, when the FDA issues happened in the United States, it kind of shut it down a little bit. So I'm like, I love this. So, hey, we could do something in Mexico and in Dubai, right? So Mexico was great. We set up a clinic there, and I would go to Tulum and all those other things. It was like during COVID and all this other stuff when we built it. And, to go out to a fancy restaurant or a fancy party or whatnot, and people say, hey, what do you do? And I tell them what I do. And I'm selling $20,000, $30,000 packages. I'm like, and then I'm coming home to my office where people are like, they can't even afford a $3,000, like plan to save their life. So it was driving me nuts. It was such a contrast. So I was loving that because it was just easy. It wasn't easy. It was just, it happened so smoothly. Like you ever hear, it was effortless. So what started happening, we started getting high impact type of influencers, celebrities, and wealthy individuals coming in. So they would fly in, they would get these stem cells, and the top procedures that we were getting were IV stem cells that you couldn't do in the US, joint injections, and then, believe it or not, ladies, a lot of guys were getting penis injections, stem cells there, right? And that actually became huge. They would mostly get IV, ED stuff, because a lot of high society athletes, whatever, like they had issues down there, whether it be from drugs, recreational drugs, abusing hormones, and or just not able to connect with anybody because they're just, I guess sometimes when you're so wealthy and you're chasing things all over, like you need a higher stimulus to get aroused. Believe it or not, that's a whole psychological thing. So that became big. So now then it turned into, hey, now that we're here, what can we do? So we would bring them in, got the Rolls Royce for them. It was really awesome. And then it became, well, here, where's a good place to eat? Hey, I'll take you guys. And then you started building this experience instead of them just getting care. So when you build experience, in Mexico, there's cartel, there's a lot of things in there and, highly respected and you're being around. So it got a little, I don't know, the doctor got a little nervous, which looking back, rightfully so, because they wanted an experience. And like some of these guys wanted to party, they wanted drugs, they wanted festivals, they wanted women with their women. It was just like, not that I hooked them up with that, but that was a type of lifestyle these people led. Without saying too much, without, ruining their confidentiality. So I could see here you have the doctor who, he really had a heart for no option patients like spinal cord, brain damage, paralysis. And we're attracting probably the patients he didn't want. High maintenance, but I mean, wealthy, right? So he started getting, I'm sure he started getting nervous and it got to the point where they didn't want me there anymore. But I was like, okay, well, then you just got to give me like my section, which is like 175,000, and, refused to do that. And then he said, well, like I could write a warrant for your arrest because his brother was a lawyer there. And I'm like, it's like you ever have a friend and they threaten you with something stupid and you're like, dude, just shut up. Like, don't be an idiot. And that's exactly how I handled it. And, kept on going back and forth to Mexico. No big deal. 6 months later, then, now 6 months later, Monique and I, we went to go to Cancun and Tulum for New Year's 2022. So we're there, we're going through the airport and, give you your passport. And then it flagged and they put me in a room and this and that. And 3 hours later, like the military came out, like the masks, guns. And then at least Monique could speak Spanish. And they said, you have a warrant for your arrest for, sexual abuse or either sexual assault, sexual abuse, like something not good. Wow. And I was like, that's incredibly bullshit. So he said his 18-year-old niece. So the brother's the lawyer, which is the dad of this girl. And they did this whole thing. And I was like, are you kidding me? So I went from a beautiful, awesome, high expensive steak dinner one night. And then literally less than 24 hours, I'm in handcuffs in this jail. And they're giving my phone now. I knew Monique now for probably, I think our first date was October 28th. So this is like, November, like 2 months, 8 weeks. So, I go there and then I looked at the jail and it was filthy. They're like, no, we're going to take them to a recreation place. I'm like, great. And so I wound up going to like the actual sickest prison. So they brought me to this place and there was no electric. There was no running anything. It was like out in the field. And it's kind of where they put the crazies, like if you got in a fight or got caught doing something, they put you here. So you had crazy people. This place was concrete and there was a hole in the ground to go to the bathroom. There was no cups, no nothing, just concrete. And then there was a basin. Just think like there was dripping water into this square basin, maybe 3 foot deep. And it smelled like shit. And it was just didn't even look. You just know, I'm like, this is sewer water. And that was the water you had to wash yourself. Or there was a liter Coke bottle cut. So you would have to scoop in there to throw it in the hole to like flush whatever that toilet was. And that's what you would kind of shower or whatever. There was no soap. There was no toilet paper. There was no nothing. And so I immediately went to like, this is horrible. And then I didn't speak English. And so, they took all, they took all your clothes. So I'm wearing like this little yellow outfit thing. And the flip flops they gave me were the ones you do when you get a pedicure, just foam.
Okay.
That was it. So I had socks in my underwear. That was the only two things I had left. And so I sat there and I was there for, 72 hours, no food. They would bring you drink, but the drink, because there was no cups, you only could use what was left in the cell. So we had no cups, no nothing. So they would pour this pink drink in your hand, and your hands are filthy, like there's shit everywhere. And then when the food came, because there was no plates or forks, you had to like hold it in your hand and eat it out of your hand. So like in my head and what I know from just sanitary, I'm like, I'm afraid I'm going to get dysentery. I didn't even go to the bathroom I was in there for like 6 days. First time, nothing, no letting out, nothing. Didn't know what to help. Couldn't get a phone call.
Wow.
New Year's comes by and I'm sitting there and it's like you're beyond scared. You're like, I'm trying to like open my eyes to wake up. And and here's the thing, if someone takes your cell phone, whose number do you know? Do you guys know that, right?
Nobody's
So think
anymore,
about that.
right?
So only number I knew was my mom's number, and I'm not going to call her. And Monique, like, I don't have her number. So they brought me to the court. I guess there's a court where they do, they bring you to the court and I'm there and they read off the charges. And then when I walk in, I see Monique's there. I'm like, oh, because they didn't tell me or they didn't tell her where it would be. So what Monique did, she found out and she went to this place 9 a.m. every day until it closed, knowing that I would eventually show up someday.
Okay.
Like, amazing. And then when I saw her, I'm like, write your number on my hand, right? So I wrote it on so I just sat there because you do nothing but sit there, maybe one meal a day, maybe two. Now there's no pillows, there's no nothing. And that was the charge. There's like the sexual assault on it. And it was crazy. We had all gone, we brought a client in and we went out to a nice restaurant. And then the doctor and his girlfriend, 2 nephews, 2 nieces, and like other family members, we all went to like this club. And they said, everybody testified that I touched her on her ass, something inappropriate. And it was just like, and I would, if I did it or not, I would tell you because I have nothing to hide, but it's like, A, that she's not my type. B, like I would never do something stupid like that. And I have a totally different taste in women. But anyway, it was bullshit. But like I realized that you're guilty until proven innocent. Horrible.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going through all this stuff and I was there for 10 days straight. And I got to talk to Monique on the phone once or twice. And then, I was so alone. And then, what are you going to do? So they had sentenced me to 1 year. That's what they were going to do. So like, we're going to keep you in the jail. You could get your attorneys. And now the attorneys there, everybody's crooked and bought. So they want to charge you $30,000, $50,000, AKA $150,000 later of kind of crooked attorneys. And they're milking you like, well, you need to own land here. We're buying land to show that I'm not a risk to fly out or something like that. It was, so you didn't trust anybody. And Monique reached out to my mom and she would come and visit me when she could. And, in those little bars. So I was sitting there and like, I didn't know what to do. And I was like, okay, well, I can't speak the language. I don't know how to navigate here. So the thing is, and money doesn't mean anything in there. I mean, yes, you could pay them to do stuff, but like, it has a whole different economy in there, drugs, cigarettes, whatever, food. So I'm like, so my skills are my value, right? So what can I do to show value if I can't speak the language? So I'm like, I look a certain way and I could adjust. All right. So I would be like chiropractic. So I would just, a guard, or I would just, whatever I could, because they were intrigued by me. I looked different and stuff like that. So I adjusted the guard and, it was, it kind of looked like a party favor, but like they appreciated it. And, within that night, like 11 o'clock, I hear banging on on the bars. Cause this is outside. This is not inside. So it's like bugs and shit. And he goes, gringo. And then he gives me a bottle of water. I'm like, oh, and then the next day, like these cooks that I adjusted, they gave me like 2 packets of cookies. So I started getting favor because I was speaking a language of service because I couldn't speak a language of Spanish. I didn't know it. So I realized like my skills my skills are my value. So how can I bring value to these people? Because I had to think, if I'm going to be here a year, I can at least train them. Maybe I'll just adjust everybody. Like, I'm trying to future pace and come to speed with this. So it was getting bad, and this place was up all night. And when I was sitting there, I just prayed. I'm like, God, just give me puzzle pieces. Like, I have no idea how I'm going to get out of here. I can't speak to the outside. I can't communicate to the outside. Then I go here. I have this woman who's sitting here caring for me, but I can't get to her. And I'm sitting there. I'm like, shit. I'm like, finally, I meet somebody that is everything I wanted, but I can't have her. And I don't expect her to wait a year. It's like that movie Castaway. I don't expect her to be around for a year. And I'm like, shit. I was just so angry because I didn't know how. And in life, we really don't how. So for me, who's impatient and I didn't know the how, the best place for me to be was sitting in a prison full of shit, bugs, horrible, people randomly coming in and out, and, you can't sleep. And every day, I looked for the puzzle piece. So one day, a guy smoked crack or whatever out of a pen. And see, in the pen, he used the plastic to smoke it. So he left the ink. The ink was garbage, but the ink was valuable to me. So I kept the ink. And then 2 days after, a guy rolled up a joint or something in gum paper or something like that. And he left it there. So now I had a little piece of paper. Or a piece of cardboard. So I'm able to write on it. And then I didn't have a pillow. So for lunch every day, they would bring 2 tortillas. And I wouldn't eat the tortillas. So after about the 4th day, I built enough tortillas to make a pillow, right? So it's like, I'm just trying to become resourceful, but I found myself acting like a dog, right? When the food came, everybody would come up like this. It was insane. The U.S. Embassy, they were nowhere. You think of the movies. I would like to speak to the U.S. Embassy. They were nowhere to be found. So don't count on that. Okay. So I just started going through that, but trying to create some type of bond in what I did. And then in that jail, I was sitting there and I got the impression, and this is what we talked about before, an impression it sounded like my voice, but it didn't agree with my current beliefs. And the impression is this girl, you're going to marry her. She's stuck by your side. And 2, you'll have a child, and you'll have a baby. And then, I was like, oh, so I have this, but I'm like, well, how am I going to get access to her? I can't even get to her, let alone am I going to get out of here? Because I could see how you could easily get left in there. So I had I had a piece of paper and then when I had that, I wrote down on this little piece of paper, I wrote a name on it. And when I saw her next time and I slid it underneath her, I'm like, I want you to hold that and I'll explain to you later. So then they moved me. So a little bit extra money, they moved me to now general population. And it was a cell with 18 guys. It was called the J cell. There was a concrete area and there was just 17 guys in a small space. And they were, you know what? They were really good men. And I went in there and, again, I'm a chiropractor and you know what? I adjusted them all, and just did the best I could to be valuable in there. And, I went through all types of different things, whether it be, I saw people wanted to fight me, to test me, you name it. And it was just, you had to navigate your way. And Monique would come to visit me when she could and stand in a line 2-3 hours, bring me some food, whatever. But we just never know we're going to get out of there. And the last day I was there, I was supposed to get out, right? And then at 1:00, we went to the court and the interpreter didn't show. And they say, well, if the interpreter doesn't show, then we're going to have to postpone this another 3 months. That's how they're just not, they're not organized there. And I guess Escobar, his son, during that time got arrested. And now the cartel and the Mexican army were fighting each other. So then they shut down the prisons. So you will not get another hearing for 3 months because now the interpreter didn't show. So I know the interpreter didn't show because she was probably called out because this doctor's brother is the lawyer to just make me stay there longer. And then what they didn't realize is Monique speaks Spanish. That's her first language. So she signed her and then she became my interpreter.
Okay.
And we did what we had to do. And they said, you'll be released today. And when I got back there, I'm walking in, and it was like a visitor's day. And a guy had told his girlfriend to come to the prison, and she was pregnant. and it wasn't with his kid, and he stabbed her to death right there.
Oh
I
my
saw
goodness.
it right there. So then they shut down the prison because he enticed her to come in, and he stabbed her stomach, killed her and the baby. And now I'm locked in there, and I'm supposed to get out. Well, like 3 a.m. on that 21st day, I'm walking out of there. I see Monique, and so many things happened that were impossible to get me out of there. And you know what? You think we embraced? We didn't. We just looked at each other and we're like, let's get the fuck out of here. And we went back to the SLS. So I'm going from literally a pig pen back to a 5-star, resort hotel, and got out of there. But I got out of there. I was like still in shock. And I realized that in that prison, so much changed. Like in my life, God put me in situations that were dramatic to make me change. So whether it be ulcerative colitis, whack. So, I realized when I was in that prison, looking back, I wasn't being imprisoned. I was actually being protected.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the way you have to look at the story. It's like, I wasn't in prison. I was being protected. What did I have to learn? What did I have to, I probably never would have stood with Monique or whatever like that. But and it was a hard 2 years after that because I came back. I lost major financial issues from being stupid, practice almost was cut to nothing from not being there. And, it was probably the toughest thing I did, but through the entire thing, all that I built my status on, the wealth, the practice, the looks, whatever, the cars, it was gone. I still had a beautiful woman standing by my side who loved me unconditionally. And I realized that as much as she loved me unconditionally, I got mad at that because I'm like, how can you love me? I did a lot of shitty things that you could have just walked away, but you still stood by my side. And because she showed me love the way she did, I realized that I didn't love myself enough. So therefore I couldn't receive her love. And she was just such an ambassador and a witness of unconditional love that no one really ever showed me to a point. And, it just changed my life. And that was my Mexican thing. So, I know how to take stories and turn them for my good. So it was such a blessing, but it was a horrible, horrible time. Sure.
And thank you for sharing. I'm smiling because I think your last couple statements are really the gift, right? Is everybody's got stories, and some definitely are worse than others, right? I mean, there's no doubt we have levels of adversity. But when we're able to learn something and find the joy, right? Like I'm sure if I ask you the question, would you like to go to a Mexican prison? I'm pretty sure I know your answer, right? Been there, done that. But would you have on any level looking back now changed that experience if you had a do-over?
Yeah, no time machines. Because, there's a time in someone's life, and I felt it, where things could be so freaking tough, but at the same time, you could be so amazingly freaking blessed. It's bonkers. It's like, how are things so tough? But however, I am absolutely over and abundantly so blessed. And it's just this paradox of stuff. And then I wouldn't have got there if it wasn't for that.
Right.
Right. And then so no time machine. And so coming out, because I came out there going this is the woman I'm going to spend the rest of my life with. The woman I always wanted,
Here's what I'd love to know, right? Is it's easy for those of us that have been through adversity. My walk through Hodgkin's lymphoma, and I don't ever want to do it again, but I'm truly grateful for it. Those of us that are able to say that, how did you do it though, right? Because it's easy to tell somebody, just find the gift, find the joy, look for the blessing, right? That's easy for us to give advice. Mm-hmm. But for the people who don't know how to do it, how do you think you really, in such a horrible situation, were able to do that? Where'd the strength come from?
The strength came from because I've been through a horrible situation in the past. And if it wasn't for that, my life didn't change. So I at least had the history to know that I don't know what this thing's about. I don't even know if I'm going to get out of here. But in my head, kind of like a kid, I'm like, what's this movie going to turn into? You know what I mean? What's this movie going to play out to be? So I start thinking how's that book going to be written? Mm-hmm. How is this going to play a role? What kind of cool talk? The fact that I'm here telling you the story is so what's the story going to sound like? And then you have to sit there patiently and watch the characters play out.
What percentage of time, because I think this is something I went through as well, what percentage of time in that journey, though, was spent with the uplifting, what's the story going to be, versus I just want to die? or I'm
Oh,
not
yeah.
going to get out of here and this is my life for the rest of my life. How proportionate was that of the poor me versus the I'm going to build something great out of this?
I would flip back and forth, but I was more in the negative and worried because I was so stressful. I was stressed at all times. Like, like when you feel you're going to get an accident and you have that adrenaline thing, like like that fight or flight. I was in fight or flight the whole entire time. I mean, I went in there and they're like, they would lay out drugs and they're like, hey, because each cell had a boss and whatever the boss asks you to do, you do. And so to test you and what like that. So it's like, I did drugs. I got bit by a scorpion. Like this thing goes on. And one of the things that helped me heal from it during the time, it was just scared. And I knew, but there was something about God, give me a puzzle piece every day. I'm telling you, every day there was a bit of a puzzle piece. A piece of paper was left, a piece of ink. The lawyer said this, but it was just so slow. But each way I was like, what's the one puzzle piece today? I got a piece of food. A guy came in who I guess was pretty high up in the drug cartel into the cell. And then like in the middle of the night, they brought 3 pizzas for him. So it's just like, he was taken care of. So it's like, hey, would you like some? He gave me. So it's like, I was always taken care of, even though I had no control over anything. And I think in life, people feel they don't have any control. What are they going to do? But like, even when I had zero control, it was a lesson to show me that like, I'm still getting taken care of in some way, even though this is so horrible.
Right.
And no matter how bad it got,
It really wasn't zero control. You used the
No.
gift that you had to gain some of that back.
1,000,000%. And so I think the healing came after I got out. So what I did during it, because you're there's nothing to do. I would close my eyes. And because it was so horrible, guys, I was in such panic. I would close my eyes and I would daydream somewhere else. So I was like, I'm just going to leave here in my head. So I would slowly leave there in my head and I would keep on imagining Monique and I in my townhome back in Houston, sitting on the couch with my arm around her. And I would just be on the couch with her, talking to her. And that was my daydream at all times. So like they would go, Gringo, why are you sleeping all the time? I'm like, I'm with my kids. I'm with Monique. Like, because I hate guys. I was so pissed off and angry that I was in the situation, but I knew I could close my eyes and go somewhere else. So I tried to do as much as I can. You call meditation, call whatever you want, but I would daydream out of there, knowing that like I'm going someplace else. And I would just, if I could just imagine, be on the couch with Monique, and that's where I want to go. And I had no idea how that'll ever happen. Will I ever see her again? Will she wait for me for a year? Probably not. I wouldn't. And so you go into all these things, but I knew that I could use my imagination to go somewhere else. It's the only thing I had.
What was the name you put on the piece of paper?
Well, what happens is there's a term. So when God, universe, your higher self, when we've all been spoken to. So it's not a religious statement. It's just a spiritual lie. We've all had great ideas that entered into us and we got excited. Some of you get motivated, inspired, and it causes you to cry. It's so real. And so when you get this idea or this download or a thought flash, in the Bible and stuff, it's called a Rhema Word. A Rhema Word is like an inspired spoken word into you that's really not of you. You just connect it with an idea. It could be Steve Jobs for the iPod. It could be Elon Musk or whatever. It's when you get this creative like idea that's given to you. So it's called a Rhema Word. So there's logos, which is I could study and recite stuff. That's great. I think it's important. It's educational. But if I took one thing that Cindy told me, like, Cindy, what's the most important lesson you learned? She told me her one lesson that meant the most to her. And instead of educationally getting her message, when she told me it went from here to here, and I adopted and lived that message, that one word she told me or sentence could change my life forever. So a lot of time we hear things like, I'll just do it, just being raised in a Christian community. And I see the most hypocrites being Christians. I could do all things through Christ who strengthens me. All these other things, no weapon formed against me shall prosper. So they say it logically, right? But when you look at their lives, their fruit shows they don't mean it one bit. Like learning it and knowing it is two different things because you know it when you live it. So that's why I know we're consumers of so much books and materials and knowledge, but if you could take Cindy's book, for instance, and you could take one line in there of her experience that she went through and not memorize the statement or cool idea, but literally make the idea sink into your heart, and then it changes your life and expresses it. That one thing could totally change your life. So a lot of times you're looking for the next podcast or the next book or one-liner to memorize, but it's actually, if I could just let it sink into my heart and adopt it as a way of life and live it, that's when your life changed. So that's called the Rhema Word. That's when you got the inspiration to write your book. That's when when all of us have had that. And a lot of us take the Rhema Word and it gets quiet the longer it goes as we don't put action behind it. So that's what a Rhema Word is. It's the inspired spoken word of God. And the way, well, how do I know I have a Rhema Word? It sounds like you, and it doesn't, but it doesn't agree with your current belief systems. So it might be like, I could have been in the prison and I had the word like, you're going to be A, B, and C, or you're going to marry this woman, and you're going to do this, you're going to have a baby. And you're like, your current person's like, that's impossible. How am I even getting out of there? So it sounds like you, it excites you, but it totally goes against your current belief patterns right now. Because you're like, I don't know how this is going to happen. Because when it came to having a child, I mean, yeah, I could marry Monique, great, but how am I going to have a kid? I'm 48 years old. I don't want kids. I already had two. I'm on hormone therapy for years. I don't even know we could have kids. Let's talk about that. I even got checked because that was her non-negotiable. How am I going to have a kid?
Okay.
And then I got everything checked. My sperm count, they weren't even swimming. So there's a lot of pressure on a guy. Guys, there's a lot of pressure. Men don't want to talk about it. It's a big pressure. Trying to, they get a divorce, they marry someone younger, they want to have children. So it was a whole other thing. So I come back, financial loss, business loss, and now the pressure of trying to give Monique a child, things aren't going well with me. But I was given this promise. I was given a promise. You're going to marry Monique and you're going to have this child. So a lot of you were given a promise. Cindy, you were given a promise. Mm-hmm. The thing is, but we don't know how, and I don't even know how it's going to get there. And so you keep on trying, you get frustrated and you try to rush things and do things. But knowing that Rhema Word is I was given a promise. So I have to have the faith and trust that that'll come true. And so, I got home from Mexico, whatever, of course, Monique was the one, she moved in. We actually went back to Mexico when everybody thought I was crazy because I had a vision. I had a place where I wanted to propose to her, and I did. We got married in Turkey, which was my second date with her. I was in Turkey for my birthday in 2022, and I'm like, hey, what are you doing? I was going to Cappadocia where they have the balloons. And I was like, this would be great to have a good female energy there. And she was perfect for the part, right? So I flew her out there. So we went back there. And then I have this fear of I can't get this girl pregnant. And it's not her. She's perfect. Everything's great. Period's normal. And I went through this whole frustration of what's going to happen. And on October 2024, she was pregnant. And that was another miracle in my life.
How'd you overcome the fear? Because I think you bring up a really interesting point, right? I think, and this is a general statement, it may not be fair, right? It's a blanket statement, but I think women are a little bit better at reaching out for help, especially in health, than men are, right? And there's this stigma of, I'm, Superman. I'm all things for all people. How did you get over that fear in order to be successful?
Because I had a bigger purpose than myself, but I would do anything for her because she was able to stand there for me. So I'll do whatever it takes because this is the one thing I couldn't buy this for her. I couldn't Superman my way to her. There had to be an organic process to happen. An egg got to hit a sperm for this to happen. And I had the least chance of that happening. So it got a little nerve wracking. I felt impotent and unfit. But as who I am is I try not to express that to her, but I saw her getting nervous and then I started losing hope. And it was one of those things when you're ready to give up is when it happens. And, we went to fertility specialist and we started looking down those roads, and that was not going to be a fun journey. It's not like this beautiful act of pregnancy. No, you were a lab. This was a lab thing. Thank God IVF helped so many couples, but we were about to undergo a journey that would have been man, this is rough. And, but that was one thing it was a big fear for me.
Yeah. But you know what? When you look, Chris,
Yeah.
the piece of paper shows up and the ink shows up, doesn't it?
Yeah. Every single time.
It shows up.
Yeah.
How has this affected Monique, this experience? What have you seen in her in a positive way?
Oh man, she stepped up, and I mean, she just grew so much like a woman, and really, not only was she, so for her opening up and loving me, and me getting to the point where I was able to receive her love. That was the thing. Like, I think it's not an issue of men not giving love. I think we just can't receive love. So if I can't receive love, how can I give it? And I think we both helped each other tremendously, become best friends, work through things, embrace our differences, agree to disagree, and go from there. And so, Monique had her Rhema word, and her Rhema word is like, I just know I'm going to have a baby girl. I'm like, okay. And so, in just a couple weeks, Monique and I were going to have a little baby girl. Yeah. And her name is Rheama.
Oh my gosh. I have chills.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
That little girl represented a couple of things. So her name's Rhema Monique, and she represents a promise that I was given in the most unbearable circumstances where there was absolutely no chance. So a lot of people think, you're going to get spoken to, or God will talk to you. In good, no, like in the worst possible areas, you could be given a promise, and there's no possible way you could even think or see in your mind that could happen. And so this little girl represents two things: a promise that I was given, impossible things that have happened, increasing my faith. And her middle name is Monique because it represents a woman who is there for me and showed me unconditional love. And, you put those two together, and it really changed me. But, it's like I said, and still in rebuilding my life, you could be like, things are so tough, but I'm so incredibly blessed. And that's a very beautiful place to be in, because there's still uncertainty, but there's a certainty that you'll always be taken care of if you don't stop and you don't lose hope.
You know what? I have a million more questions, and I'm not asking you a single one of them. I think it's a beautiful place to stop. I think it's a beautiful, inspirational story. And I truly hope that, everybody out there will learn that there's reasons for things. And by also sharing our experiences, we can help others learn and grow from it. So Dr. Chris, thank you. Really, I'm so very appreciative of, we joked that there was going to be a fun story. And as it turns out, this was more than fun. It was truly inspirational. And I'm just so grateful to benefit from your experience that I know will absolutely change my world from this moment on.
Thank you so much.
So appreciate you. All right, everybody, we're going to hang tight on that heavy note, but a great note. We're going to take a quick little commercial break, and then we're going to be back because I know that Chris answered some fun questions last time, but we're going to come up with some new ones and just see where he's at and finish up today's podcast. So take a quick break, and we will be right back with the Positively Altered Podcast. This is your weekly dose of Dr. Cindy, the Positively Altered Podcast. Stop. Hit that follow button now and spread the love with Positively Altered. Welcome back, and thanks for sticking around. We've got Dr. Chris Zaino as our guest today, and we're going to do some rapid fire questions. We had a bunch last time. They were really fun. I'm just going to throw a couple more at you just to see where you're at. What do you think, Chris? You ready?
I'm always ready. Yeah.
All right. So last time you shared with me who would drive your chariot, who you would trust to drive it. But now we're down to what mode of transportation would you take if you could only take one mode for the rest of your life?
A car.
Oh, that's like the obvious answer, isn't it?
I know. So a horse then.
Oh, well, I'm not asking you to change your mind.
No, you're right. Like horse, like let's say it was just like something that wasn't mechanical. So horse was actually my first answer, but I was like, well, I would just drive a car too, but horse.
Do you ride?
No, I do not.
Oh, so that would be really fun. Now I want a video of that, the first time of you on a horse.
I got on a horse. I could say I could send you that big on Turkey. We did a photo shoot, Monique and I, they put me on a horse bareback. That was hilarious. I just took pictures, but I didn't ride one.
Yeah, bareback's pretty rough if they don't stand
Yeah.
still. Yeah, that can be tough. All right. If you had to change the color of either snow or sand, whatever your preference is, what color would you make it other than the color it is naturally?
I would, I would change sand, and I would make it more gray. And I'll tell you why. Because I grew up in Sarasota, Florida, and the sand was super white, and it blinded me, and it was so hot. So it's like I wish the sand could be gray so it wouldn't reflect as much.
That's perfect. So
Yeah.
you knew the answer to the question years ago.
Yeah, I had child trauma with that.
Yeah. What is one food on this planet everybody should be eating?
Oh, pizza.
Pizza?
My favorite. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, it's my
I
favorite.
would have expected a healthier just
I know, but like, hey, I like food just like everybody else. I don't eat pizza, but like, what else am I gonna say? Like, that's my favorite food by far, and I don't really eat it much.
If you're going to eat pizza, what are the toppings?
Oh, I know it. No, it's gonna be pizza with the pesto sauce, not red sauce, with good cheese, artichokes, sun-dried tomatoes, and grilled chicken.
Okay.
So good.
Okay. See, I grew up, and I don't eat pizza as an adult either, but as a kid, I grew up on pepperoni and pineapple, and I got a lot of abuse for that.
I know. Just do what you like. Yeah, I could tell everybody the healthy answer, but it's boring.
Well, it is boring, but okay, so you heard it here. Everybody should be eating pizza. I don't know how to argue with that now.
No one will argue with that.
Yeah, I guess it's the best advice of the day.
Yeah, it's favorite.
It's pizza. It's pizza. All right, I'm going to ask it this way because we were talking before we were recording, because for those of you that can't see, Dr. Zaino is in a dark shirt and a tie, and I almost felt like I needed to go change my clothes in order to meet him where he was at. So when you meet people where they're at, and I know today's a tie, what's your favorite outfit to wear?
If I have to meet people where they're at, in the clinic, or if I'm videotaping, it's going to be because I want to meet people medically where they're at. No, where they're at medically. So most people like the white coat and all that stuff, and I resisted it for years until finally a friend asked me, he says, listen, if you wore a tank top and shorts and flip-flops, but still you in a polo shirt and khakis, you in a suit, or you in a suit with a white coat, and someone scrolling through Instagram or Facebook, what's that 60-year-old mom going to send her mother to? And I'm like, the person in the suit or white coat. He's like, yes. He's like, even though you don't believe in that, it's against your philosophy. However, if you want to help people, sometimes you just have to meet people where they're at, connect with them, and then raise them up the ladder to what you believe. And I'm like, dude, that's the first time someone explained that to me where it made sense. Because otherwise I felt like I don't want to act like a medical doctor. I don't want to, like, that's bullshit. But it's like, they're like, listen, if you're selling vitamins or exercise programs, wear your V-neck. Great. But he's like, but like, if I'm scrolling, who am I going to send my mom to? That guy in the white coat. It's just social conditioning. I'm like, he's like, that's true marketing. That's becoming a marketing person where you're willing to compromise your beliefs to meet someone where they're at, not compromising my values, but my beliefs to meet them where they're at, and then tell them the story and raise them out to the peak where you have your core values and philosophies at, to help them.
Yeah, I'm struggling with that, Chris, because if it was up to me, I would be barefoot in my I almost say in my pregnancy. There was a Freudian slip right there. I would be barefoot in my practice. I love to be barefoot.
All my patients laughed at me today. They're like, what is that? I never saw you in a tie. And they laughed at me. I'm like, I'm filming content, commercials. Give me a break. I'm in a costume.
Yeah, maybe one day I'm going to walk in barefoot just to see what kind of response I do get.
Yeah,
it might be kind of fun.
Being authentic equals freedom to me.
Yeah, it's very true.
If I feel I have to wear this and dance around like a clown, that's what I feel like. I just feel like I'm just not being myself. And then someone was like, just for the heck of it, that person doesn't know any better. Are you willing to, talk to them? Are you willing to meet them where they're at?
Right. And I love that. And sometimes that's the best thing we can do is meet them where they're at and then see where we both go together.
Yeah. So that's what I tried out today.
Pretty inspiring. Dr. Chris Zaino, how do people find you, follow you, check you out?
Yeah, just go on Instagram at Dr. Zaino. I'll answer all my DMs. Yeah, no, I don't have any fancy funnels or something like that. Like people I work with, you find me. That's when you're ready for me, I'll be there. And like we just work privately together. Nothing fancy.
I love that. And I think that's great advice. When you're ready, I'll be there.
Yeah.
Right. When people are ready to receive, then we're in the right place. Thank you so much for your time today. For those of you that want to check out more about what's going on in the Dr. Cindy world, please check out drcindyspeaks.com. You can also shoot us an email at hello@drcindyspeaks. You can find the book Positively Altered, Finding Happiness at the Bottom of a Chemo Bag, wherever books are typically sold. Dr. Chris Zaino, thank you so much for your time today. Truly your inspiration. I've got a lot to think about and a lot to truly be grateful for. I hope all of you out there feel the same way, and that the two of us today have left you all positively altered.